Okay, can you all hear me okay? Great, thanks. So I want to just thank Eddie again, and I want to particularly thank Deanne Clark for introducing me to Eddie. And Eddie and I spent a few minutes yesterday, and I was sharing my story with him, and he said, you know, after you hear Jason's story tomorrow morning, that might affect your presentation a little bit. And dang it, Eddie, you're right. I have my intro that I normally do, and I kind of want to just open up my heart and share a little bit about my story. So I don't know where to begin exactly, but you know, Steve Jobs said that, you know, we don't know where we're going. We can look back and look at the dots, connect the dots of where we've been, and that can help us figure out where we're going. And if we have faith and belief in what we're doing now is part of the connection of the dots of where we're going, and just move forward with faith, we're gonna find our purpose. And listen to Jason and listen to the impact that he spoke about and how clear I have gotten in my my purpose in life, and which started really connecting the dots. Back when I was a teenager, growing up in the San Fernando Valley, they picked us up off the freeway, and we went. I was a door knocker for the Train air conditioning company, and we were lead generators. And so it was kind of. Have you ever seen that movie, The Tin Man? It was back in the 70s, and they'd take us down to South Central LA, Watts, Compton, Inglewood, and I was a door knocker, lead generator, so I'd knock on doors, and on the weekends they had a $25 spiff if you could get in the house, convince that homeowner to get a sales guy to come out right then and there. So we would call the corporate office in Woodland Hills. They would call the sales guy that was hanging out at the Denny's by the payphone. This was before cell phones. And then the sales guys were hanging out drinking coffee at Denny's. The phone would ring, and then they'd go in and make the sale. So needless to say, I got into a lot of homes in South Central LA, and as a teenager, I didn't know the impact that dot was going to have on my life going forward. So I remember now like it was yesterday. These homes were, the carpet was worn down to the floorboards. Sinks were dripping, there was mold in the sinks, there was linoleum curled up in the bathrooms and the kitchens. If it had rained a week before, they were collecting water from the leaky roof in buckets. And fast forward as a parent raising kids, coming home, it's like, how do you raise a family? How do you come home to a house like this? How many people have been involved in a transaction where you either go do an eviction or people just left, and you walk into that house and you scratch your head and you have a sinking feeling in your heart. How can people live like this? How many people, raise your hand, have been like that? And you have that sick feeling in your heart. It's like, man, what kind of emotional stress are these people going through to live like this? How do you raise a family? How does kids feel good about themselves? How do they don't want to bring their friends over. You know, kids didn't want to come, they didn't want to have their friends over in their house like that. So what do? They went out on the street, took drugs, joined gangs. And so my impact connecting the dots was, I was a contractor. I swung a hammer as a teenager. I got into home improvement sales. I learned about mortgages. I got a phone call one day. Someone said, hey, do you guys do 203Ks? I'm like, what the heck's a 203K? My boss looked it up. It was a renovation loan. So I did my first 203K loan in 1994. And it was the coolest thing. We took this fourplex in Hawaiian Gardens, and we converted it into a multi-generational family. A whole darn family moved in. From a Philippine family, moved in, their cousins, uncles, brothers, and we took this house, this fourplex that was just absolutely falling apart. It was a bank REO, and we created a really cool, neat family home where it had a new roof, windows, carpet, paint, appliances. Now they had a clean, safe, comfortable home. So I learned about that. Then fast forward, I got the call. We talked about earlier, David was talking about that call. So that call for me was, Skip, you got a brain tumor. And And so going through, I'm not going to go through all the details, but you know, they said I got 3 months to live. Had a lot of people pray for me. You go through an experience where you have a near-death experience, you get clarity on your purpose in life. So I got real clear on my purpose and connecting the dots. And here I am having these life experiences where I understand this loan program more than anybody out there. Based on understanding construction and loans and real estate, I'm a licensed real estate broker, it requires teamwork. And so I created this platform, and we have a difference. We can actually, this group here today, after you see my presentation, we have an opportunity to start a movement of taking those millions of houses, the 2.2 million houses that Kate spoke of yesterday, and transition them in a way that's socially responsible, where we can create clean, safe, comfortable homes for these families that are going to be buying them. So that's the intro. So let's talk about how we can work together and make a difference. So I call it a waterfall effect. You're going to get a note. If you don't resell it, wholesale it to another investor, or modify it, or take it back through either deed in lieu or foreclosure, our bucket, which again could be, and Eddie said, it could be 10, 15, 20% of the business that you do. Our bucket is you get a property back, it's an REO, and it's distressed, and what are you going to do with it? So our platform is being proactive. Think of the end in mind. Our goal is to get an owner into this house, and so we're going to facilitate an owner buying that house, and we're going to help them do it by putting a loan in place for them. So I know it's after lunch, and so there's 3 things that you need to remember about these 203k loans. And these 3 main characteristics of a 203k loan, which is different from almost any other loan that you've heard about. And the first thing is, it allows you to close as is. You get to close the transaction as is, no matter what condition the property's in. It could be damaged. It could have fire damage. It could have a roof leak. It doesn't matter what condition. It will allow you to close as is, no matter what condition it's in. So you may want to take notes. These are the 3 most important things. It allows you to close as is, no matter what condition it's in. The second thing is, all of the repairs are financed in the buyer's new loan, and all the work is done after the transaction closes. So you don't have to worry about the headache. How many people have tried to do a rehab and have gotten that call from the contractor? Raise your hand. You get that call from the contractor. Oh, my God, you're not going to believe what I found, right? And, you know, you're just wondering how many zeros are at the end of that. So, so all the work is done after the close of escrow. And the third thing is, the appraisal is unlike any appraisal. It's completed based on the hypothetical assumption that those repairs are already completed. So, I mean, it sounds crazy. So you go to your appraiser and you say, hey, listen, buddy, I need a bunch of cash to fix up this house, and I know it's only worth $50,000, but how about you appraise it for $100,000 and we do a cash-out refinance so I can do these repairs? I mean, how ridiculous is that? You know, that's essentially what we're doing. We're telling the appraiser, we're giving the appraiser the specifications of repairs. The appraiser appraises it as if that work's already been completed, and they're lending based on the repaired value, and that money is held in escrow for that buyer to fix up the house the way that they want. So those are the 3. If there's nothing else you get from this this presentation, those are the 3 most important. But so you ever get inventory that looks like that? I don't have one. You don't have one. So yeah, that's what I hear. So you know what's cool? You know what's cool about, you know, that's the neighborhood watch insignia. They watch the house from the inside. Isn't that cool? Isn't that nice? That's in LA. So who notices the one really thing that makes that house like a really kicking bedroom? Anybody notice that? No, the mirrors on the ceiling. That's the mirrors on the ceiling. It looks like a scout. So, you know, or a house that looks like this, it has, you know, that's the retaining wall. I call it cardboard and toothpicks holding that wall up. Or an illegal kitchen addition. That's an illegal kitchen addition that's encroaching on the property line, and that actually has code violations, recorded code violations on that illegal kitchen addition. Or, you know, a house like that that's been vacant for years, it's got lead-based paint flaking off of it, and it's just an eyesore to the community. Again, that doesn't look probably too bad to many of you. Or a kitchen that looks like that. Now, how many real estate agents remember when you took your real estate test, they had this thing called functional obsolescence? Anybody remember that? It's like, what the heck is functional obsolescence? Well, this is functional obsolescence. The house, that kitchen is a functioning kitchen, but man, it's obsolete. That's from the 60s. So people don't want to buy homes that look like that. So what is an FHA 203k? And the best way I can describe it is, it's a gift. It's not only a gift for you as a seller that you can sell this property as is to an owner-occupant buyer who will pay more for it than the fix and flip guy that wants to buy it at a discount, flip it, make a profit. You can take that guy out. So it's a gift to you as an investor. You sell it direct at a higher price. It's also a gift to that home buyer. That home buyer gets to create an inspired environment for them. And that's what it's all about. How can we assist these buyers who are buying these homes to create an inspired environment where they get to choose the colors of the paint and the carpet and the cabinets and the appliances? A home where they can feel good about when they come home from a hard day at work, where they can feel good about their kids. So we allow them to not only create an inspired home, but we help them create a home where it satisfies all the deficiencies, all the problems that are happening with that house. Could be anything, plumbing, electrical, roof. It gives them the ability to customize it the way they want, including energy efficiencies. There's an energy efficient mortgage piece to it. So, you know, putting insulation in, dual pane windows, low flow water heaters, all this stuff can be financed in, including solar panels. So you can put solar panels in. And so, you know, with the 203k loan, you can take a house that looks like that and turn it into a house that looks like that. You can take that house, which was closed as is, and that was actually the return on this. This was a countrywide foreclosure. The best cash offer they got was $150,000 cash. We sold it to an owner-occupant buyer who paid $300,000 for this house. And what they did is they brought it back to code. They got rid of that illegal addition, and that was what the kitchen used to look like, and this is what the kitchen looks like now. Now, how's that for an inspired kitchen? I'd like to have Thanksgiving in that house. I mean, that's the kind of kitchen that they can design. We could take this retaining wall and get it properly engineered so it's safe. We take this kitchen with the functional obsolescence, gut it, and put a brand new kitchen in. This is what we can do with this program. Take this old house that's been vacant for years and turn it into a family home, and that's exactly what this is. A young couple had 2 young kids, and they completely rehabbed this house. It had a cracked foundation. We fixed the foundation. We put new siding in, new windows. It had original, really cool old wood oak floors. They refinished the wood floors, so they customized it the way they wanted to. So most entry-level buyers close broke. Wouldn't you agree with that? You know, oftentimes they need to get a gift from a family member to get the 3.5% down payment. And so when they are buying an older home that needs repaired and they close as is, the first thing they get in the mail is a 10% discount from Home Depot to if they open up a credit line, right? A credit card. So credit cards at Home Depot are like 22 to 30%. And you know, if within the first year, if they need to replace the roof, that's, you know, retail, that could be $8,000. Well, with the 203k loan, they could put a new roof on, they could put new windows in, they could put paint and carpet and new appliances and remodel the bathroom for $30,000. The minimum payment on an $8,000 credit card bill is $200. The payment financed of $30,000 into your loan to do all that extra work is about $200. So they're paying $200 a month. Might as well give them $30,000 to rehab the house. And that's what we can do. And the other big thing is it creates sustainable homeownership because their ratios they're qualified for that loan including that $200 payment, which is that $30,000. If their ratios are already at 47 or 48 and they add another $200 in credit card payment, their ratios are going to go in the 50s and 60s, and that's an opportunity for disaster. So we're creating sustainable homeownership by making sure that the capital improvements that they're going to come up to in the next few years are addressed and financed into their loan. So the benefits are the property closes as is. No repairs are needed to close. No termite completion. No kitchen okay. No bathroom okay. It doesn't matter what condition it's in. Fire damage, code violations, all of that stuff can be financed into that 203k renovation loan. So why would FHA insure a loan that's property that's distressed? And they do that because there's that pre-inspection by a HUD consultant, so there's a trusted advisor that goes out there and checks the roof and the foundation and the plumbing and the electrical and says this is what needs to be done to make the house habitable. They get a bid from a contractor that says I can do that work for X amount, and that X amount is financed into the buyer's loan. So they know what the repairs are. They got money to do the work. So HUD says, look, we don't care if it's done before the close of escrow or after the close of escrow, and because we have money held in escrow for those repairs. So that's why HUD will fund this loan, because they know what the repairs are and there's money to fix them. So that's different. I mean, how many people have sold a house to an FHA buyer and you get that call saying, hey, they won't close escrow until you get a 2-year roof cert, or until you fix this broken window, or put a toilet in that. I mean, this eliminates that. You don't get any of those calls anymore. So with a 203k, you close as is on this bathroom on the left, but it's appraised as if it's repaired. So the appraiser wears rose-colored glasses. So the appraiser doesn't appraise the house the way it is. They appraise it based on what it's going to be, based on a report that says we're going to put a new roof, we're going to put paint and carpet, and that's how it's appraised. That's kind of fun. So the loan amount is based off of the acquisition price. The acquisition price is the purchase price of the house and the renovation account. The renovation account, now when you notice I say renovation account, I don't say the cost of repairs. It starts with the cost of repairs. There's a 10% contingency reserve, because we all know that there's always surprises. So if the bid from the contractor is $30,000, there's going to be an extra 10% of that, or $3,000, financed in the loan for those unforeseen items that might come up. If the scope of work is going to keep the borrowers out of the house for more than 30 days, part of that renovation account can include mortgage payments, because we don't want those homeowners moving into the house during the rehab process, and we don't want to burden them financially with having to make a house payment or a rent payment where they're living now and a mortgage payment at the same time. The only person that I know that can do that is Eddie. He can make 2 house payments at the same time. I'm sure there's many of you here too that can do that too, but most first-time home buyers can't do that. The down payment is 3.5% of that renovation account, which is the cost of repairs, the 10% contingency, some inspection fees, some other soft costs, including what could be some mortgage payments. And that acquisition price, the down payment is 3.5% of that. And again, because it's an FHA loan, that could be a gift from a family member. So here's a sample transaction. The buyer bought the house for $150,000. You got a renovation account of $40,000, which is all inclusive. So you're all in for $190,000. The down payment is 3.5% of $190,000, which is $66.50. And the loan amount that the buyer needs to qualify for is $183,350 plus the mortgage insurance. Now the super cool thing about this, HUD will actually insure the loan up to 110% of that appraised value. So what does that mean? So what that means is the buyer bought the house for $150,000. The scope of work to get the house habitable may only be $25,000. But the buyer's wife, it's always the wife, she says, I'm not moving in this house unless I get fancy carpet, granite countertops, and high-end appliances. And so that estimate goes from $25,000 to $35,000. And now, and the entire amount is now $40,000. So you've got some extra fluff in there, and the appraiser wears his rose-colored glasses, looks at that scope of work, and he says, you know what, I really only think this house is worth $172,750. That's what they appraise the house at, $172,750. 110% of $172,750 is $190,025. So they'll lend up to $190,000, over $190,000. So they'll actually fund this loan even though it's over encumbered by 10%. So that's good news for you as a seller, isn't it? Because typically, if the appraisal doesn't come in, what happens? You get a deal falls apart. You get a phone call. Hey, we need to reduce the price by $5,000 or $10,000 to keep this deal together because the house didn't appraise. So they'll actually fund this loan if the house doesn't appraise by up to 10%. So that's huge for a seller in selling in this market. So that's really cool. So 40% of all FHA transactions fail. And that's my analysis. I've talked to all the major lenders. And so I want to share with you so you understand what the evolution of a failed 203k transaction is. Failure hurts. I mean, it's not as painful as what this guy's about to experience, but it hurts. It hurts the seller, it hurts the buyers, it hurts the vendors. And so what typically happens is the buyer calls his real estate agent, says, hey, I want to buy a house. The agent, a good agent, says, before I show you houses, you need to talk to my lender and find out what you're approved for. So he talks to the lender says they're good for $200,000 on an FHA loan. So what does the agent usually do? He's shown them houses in at what price range? 220, right, exactly. So there you go. You know, buyers shows homes in the 210 to 220 range, hoping to negotiate and get it for 200. So they make an offer. They find a property at 210. They make an offer at 190. They negotiate. They're lucky. They get it for 200,000. So, but they realize, man, this house has got some termite issues, got some flaky lead-based paint. You're not going to qualify for a regular FHA loan. You're going to have to do a 203k. So the buyer's agent, they're really hungry. They haven't made a sale yet this year, and they're eager. So they tell the buyer, don't worry, you could fix that house for 5 or 10 grand, right? It's always 5 or 10 grand. So they call up the lender, and they say, look, can we stretch our borrower another 10 grand on a 203k loan? And the lender says, you know what, the debt ratio is already at 47. It's pushing it to 49, but we still have a DU accept. They got some compensating factors, so we're good to go. We could get you this loan, and at 49 debt ratio. So 3 weeks later, the buyer talks to multiple contractors, and the wife says, hey, I need paint, carpet, appliances, and that thing goes from 10,000, the repairs go from 10,000 to 30,000. The ratios go from 49 to 52 or 53, and the deal's suspended. And this is what happens on these transactions. This is why they fail. They're not pre-approved for the right loan amount going in. So, but the buyer's motivated. They want this house. So they have their 3 Hail Marys. It's football season, right? So their first Hail Mary is they call all their relatives. Hey, can I borrow, 20 grand? We really want this house. Or can you co-sign? And the typical response is, we just short sold our house. We can't qualify. We're not going to co-sign for you. So that doesn't work. Hail Mary number 2, they call the contractor and they say, look, we really found this house. We love it. Would you do that $30,000 worth of work for 10 grand? And how do you think that goes? Not too good. So the third Hail Mary is they call up their agent, and their agent calls your agent, and your agent calls you and says, hey, would you reduce the price by 20 grand? Because we thought the repairs were only going to be 10 grand. They're really 30. So how about you guys reduce the sales price by 20 grand so we can put this deal together? And so the asset manager, and I've dealt with, with Deanne. We saved a lot of deals for Deanne over the years. And so the asset manager says, well, what part of as is don't they understand? This house was sold as is. Where is? So that's the response from the asset manager, and the transaction fails. So Henry Ford, this is a quote from Henry Ford, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. So fortunately, my experience is I got to analyze everything from the seller's point of view, from the buyer's point of view, and I launched our company, and we reordered the process. HousingWire said I was a giant of innovation for re-engineering this process to simplify it, to minimize fallout, and to speed up the closing. Our platform, which was launched just a year ago, was recognized as one of the top 50 real estate tech solutions. And AmeriCatalyst, we attended the AmeriCatalyst event down in Austin, recognized us as a 2013 National Catalyst for Change. So it's really cool, the stuff that's going on. So it's actually really simple. Failure occurs on 203k transactions when the buyer isn't pre-approved for the right loan amount and they don't know what those repairs are. So if they knew what the repairs were and they were qualified for the right loan amount, then it's going to be successful. So our platform simplifies that process. Pre-inspection. So you as an asset seller pays $250, you get a pre-inspection from a HUD consultant, identify what the mandatory health and safety repairs are. They check the systems and they say this is what you got to do to make it meet FHA guidelines. Virtual staging. We Photoshop pictures of the house to help the buyers visualize what that house could look like when it's fixed up because they can't visualize it. And we have a lender partner who puts a pre-approved loan on it that includes the acquisition and all the repair costs, so the buyer knows exactly what their down payment is and what their monthly payment is based on not only the basic habitability repairs, but we also give them a moderate upgrade package and a premium upgrade package up to the 110% of that repaired value. So, so this is our workflow. I'm not going to go into it, but we have a 10-day workflow of what it takes to get a house ready for remodel. There's a pre-inspection through the HUD consultant. There's HUD consultants nationwide, so getting that is no problem. We have a contractor directory on our site where we find licensed contractors. They provide a bid to match that specification of repairs. There's lenders in 44 states. They can find a lender. That loan officer prepares this financial option flyer that lets the buyer know exactly what their down payment and monthly payment is. We create a web page with the agent actually uploads a photo. So the picture on the left is a photo of what the house looks like now, and the picture on the right is what it could look like when it's all fixed up. So how many buyers do you think would love to live in the house on the left? Maybe not. But how many do you think would love to live in the house on the right? A lot. That's a cool place. So we help them visualize what it could look like. There's a little button up there above the sales price that says download a PDF. So right from the site, you push a button, downloads a PDF. It's a flyer that's printed and left at the house. So they have a flyer that looks like this, that's co-branded with the agent and the lender. And we have flyers right at the house that have not only how the program works and the photos, we also print out the financial option flyers that are left in the house. So they know, it's all transparent. They know what the cost is, they know what it looks like, and you get a sign out in front of the house that says this house is ready for remodel. So we're taking the hurt out of selling distressed properties, doing the pre-inspection, virtually staged with that pre-approved renovation loan. So how do you figure the price? It's very simple. What's the repaired value going to be? And I know it's very subjective. What's the repair cost? And that's what you market at. The repaired value less the repair cost, and that's what you sell it for. You don't need to discount it 20 or 30% for an investor to buy it, fix it up, and flip it. You can sell it consumer direct, which is going to give you a higher return on those distressed properties. So we're building teams across the country. We have an online university, so every partner that's part of our organization, whether they're a real estate agent, a contractor, or a lender, goes through our training program at Renovation Lending Institute. We have case studies. We have 5 different case studies. We have downloadable documents that they can use to explain there's different programs. There's a streamlined 203k, a standard, then there's conventional renovation loans for those buyers that may be buying a little higher end homes. And they say, look, we got 20% down, but a bank won't give me a loan on it because the house is jacked up. Well, with the 20% down, they could do a conventional loan and not have to pay any mortgage insurance. So there's different loan programs. I'm going to give you my email address. If you want to educate yourself, it's a $99 class. Eddie, I'm going to do it for free. All I need to do is send me an email, and we'll sign you up. We'll enroll you. You could take the class for free so you know how this program works.
And it's really easy with our membership site. We can put all that stuff on our membership site. So if you can just coordinate with Zarina, instead of you're trying to deal with 100 emails, we got a more scalable process.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
And by the way, would it be helpful for you guys for him to have some real case studies as he's working with students and come back on our calls with that?
Right. Great. So here's a little success story, a testimonial letter from an agent. This is from 2010. The highest offer they got was $260. They did a renovation loan. Their offer was $295. They netted an extra 35%. How many people would like to make an extra 13% without doing the work? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. So and then this one is from 2003. I put that up. That's from Homecomings, which is a GMAC company. So just to let you know, I have been at this rodeo for a long time. So I've been doing this a long time. And, you know, so that's what we want to do. We want to create a win-win opportunity. I'm not going to take questions because I know they're telling me my time's up. But I'm going to be around the rest of today and tomorrow. But, you know, my goal really is to inspire you to make a difference. If you can help me with my mission, which is make sure these millions of homes are getting transitioned in a socially responsible way, make a difference, I really appreciate that. So thanks again for the time.
You guys give him a hand.